A number of things attracted industry to Baltimore over the years. It depends upon the year, of course, but in the beginning, it was certainly all about the port. The port was a commercial center, and we had a lot of activity here, and that's a focal point for a lot of businesses to occur here. I think after that, the labor supply. Remember, because it's a port city, immigrants are here all the time, and that meant lots of available labor and low-cost labor. So you had a lot of businesses in the beginning with port, the commercial activity, the shipbuilding. All of these things are natural for the waterfront, demanding more workers, and then those businesses and workers demanded more services, and the next thing you know, the thing just kind of ignited into a major economic center. There's a couple of them around that I could name. There's probably a lot more that I could name. I would always point you to the Port of Baltimore. The Port of Baltimore was a success from day one and has been a driving economic force for this community for a very, very long time. It was a really big deal here, and still is. Thousands of workers, thousands of support workers, truck drivers, port workers, people who sell things to those companies, you name it. Even the guy who sells the fuel to the ships that visit, all of those companies, the Port of Baltimore is an industrial concern, surely as any other is. But if you wanted to narrow it down, I would tell you to look over your left shoulder at Domino Sugar. Domino Sugar across the harbor has been there for just about 100 years. It came here as a sugar refining operation in the 1920s and has survived quite nicely. Its labor force is reduced because they were smart. They operated their business and remodeled and reinvested in it, and that building over there pollutes not at all. What you see steam-wise coming out there is in fact steam. It has its own solar panels to operate its operations in there, electricity-wise. There's no pollution, none of that there. Okay, this company has modernized and kept up with the times, and because of computerization and technology, that's all been reinvested in the business. They can survive because their labor force is smaller. There was a time when that building supported 600 people. Now I think it's 150 or 200. Now you say, well, isn't that a shame? Well, I'm happy for the 200 because I could see the 200 going away if they hadn't done all of that reinvestment. May I quote H.L. Mencken for just a moment and say that people in Baltimore like Baltimore the way it is, and we're just delighted that it is not New York, that we don't need skyscrapers, and we don't need all that growth and all that excitement, that this is a pretty good place to be. I will tell you that the city region is growing. Okay? Clearly it's growing. The Baltimore City population is declining and has been for some time. It peaked at 900-some thousand many, many years ago, 1950, I think, and it's now 600,000. So when you go around the city and say, well, what are all these abandoned houses for? You say, what happened? Well, these people, I've got too many houses, I got to get rid of them. I don't know what to do with them. And so that's part of the process. It makes it look like it's retracting, but in fact, it's not retracting. Industrial businesses come and go based upon what the needs of the community and needs of the world are. I mean, it's been that way since the beginning, right? I mean, except for the wheel, I think every other invention has had a successor, right? So the businesses here really came and went in cycles. I mentioned iron smelting. Well, we don't use much iron anymore, so the smelting business is gone. I mean, what did we expect, right? It eventually just became the steel business, and that's moved on for any number of reasons, so we can recount that for forever. But the businesses come and go. Shipbuilding was strong here in World War II, was viable into the 1970s, 1980s, but went away. Shipbuilding went overseas to subsidize shipyards, okay, in other countries. So there's a lot of businesses that you can count on decline. It depends on the business that you're asking about. The garment business went away for a lot of different reasons, one of which was people overseas were willing to work for 10 cents on the dollar on wages. So that business went away too. What year was it? Well, the iron smelting very early. Clearly steel in the 1980s and 90s. The garment business in the 1920s, 30s, 40s. So a lot of different years. So it's hard to pin down a specific moment. Baltimore always had a reputation of being business-oriented because they found the business climate to be so favorable for them. It was tax incentives, it was business incentives, the community was cooperative. Everything about it made it attractive for businesses to come here and operate a business in Baltimore. Whether or not that's true today, I think that has to be in the eye of the beholder in terms of you make your own judgment as to what the world offers out there. But certainly for the longest period of time, it was that spirit of trying to make things happen for the business community that attracted business. Well, there are a lot of empty industrial buildings around, but if you turn around and look out that window, you'll see a whole flock of brand new industrial buildings, different kind of industries, of course. The old Rust Belt businesses are gone, and they're not coming back, okay? They've moved overseas, they've gone elsewhere. But a new kind of business world is out there, but that doesn't address your specific question about those old abandoned places. There's a couple things to think about. First of all, businesses today want the opportunity to expand, all right? They want to say, geez, if we get big, we're going to need another building even bigger. If I wanted to put it next door to this one, where would it go? And there is no opportunity in a lot of those old abandoned factories that are landlocked. Or the guy beside you is still in business and you have an abandoned warehouse. But even that begs one of the other issues, which is, what is the building made of? Okay. Because of the age, some of it is deteriorated to the point where it's almost ready to be destroyed anyway. I think the one that's most visual is the steel business. We have the largest steel mill in the world, Bethlehem Steel at Sparrows Point. Bethlehem Steel owned this town in terms of numbers of jobs. All around our neighbors here from the Museum of Industry, there was a Bethlehem Steel shipyard here. There was a shipyard in Fairfield in South Baltimore. There was a huge shipyard at Sparrows Point. They're all gone. All of it's gone. And the mill. We're talking about between all these places, 50, 60,000 jobs. You can imagine what an enormous impact that is. Think about this. That company goes away. It has an enormous, far-reaching impact. Not to even begin to talk about the secondary service industries which serve that industry. So I won't call it a one industry town, but it was certainly approaching that at one point. It's gone. There's a million reasons why it's gone. Some people shake their heads and say, I wish it was here. And other people say, thank goodness it's gone.